I've been asked how did you get into this business? And one of my favorite responses is, it's genetic. I was born and raised in a guiding family, and this is pretty much all I've ever done. I absolutely love it. I have never wanted to do anything different, and therefore I haven't. My mom and dad started the business 50 years ago, and they had the ability at that time, we'll go way into history. So at that time, my dad was a civil engineer, and he worked for, originally right after he and my mom were married, he worked for the Department of Interior, and instead of going to Vietnam, they had him working on the highway department for surveying highway for transportation. And so in the early 60s, had the opportunity to come to Alaska on a quick trip, and basically he and my mom came up, absolutely fell in love, went home, packed up their stuff. They were living in just a mobile home or whatever. It was basically like a camp trailer. And they packed everything up and stuck it on a barge in Seattle, Washington, and it rode up, and they came to Juneau. So with that engineering background, he got a job with the Bureau of Indian Affairs and spent the next 2 years, those first 2 years they were in Alaska, traveling basically to every Indian village in the state, surveying the feasibility of connecting their airstrip with the village, whether that was a footpath or a ATV trail or a road. And often that work didn't take him but a few hours, and he would fly in with a mail plane. So some of those communities got mail once a week. So he basically traveled around for 2 years and hunted and fished the entire state. And Southeast was the crown jewel. I mean, Alaska is huge beyond what you kind of imagine, and diversity is incredible. And Southeast is this tiny little sliver down at the bottom, I think often overlooked. But to me, it's a place where the mountains tumble into the sea, and it's profoundly productive. You have this warm air mass that sits out in the Gulf of Alaska, and it comes in and crashes up against the mountains, and you have a rainforest here. So temperate old growth rainforest that's pretty well gone elsewhere in the world. We have most of what remains on the planet is here in Southeast, and we're blessed to be able to operate in those areas that have pristine old growth rainforest. You see these, especially in the fall, you hunt up these rivers and you'll see these giant towering Sitka spruce and western hemlock that are, good grief, some of those trees will be 10, 12 foot in diameter. They're phenomenal. Stories they could tell hundreds of years old. It's really, I like to say it's magical. It sounds a little corny, but honestly it is. You walk into these pristine forests and you feel like you're going back in time. Maybe a dinosaur could come cruising down around a tree or something. So it's a pretty magical place.